Hello everyone, my name is Shifa Yusuf and I'm from MASH Academy, and today we are going to conduct the first chapter class of Harappan Civilization. So in this class we are going to revise the first chapter from the NCERT syllabus of 12th grade. Now, according to this chapter, we are discussing more about the civilization that was discovered near to the Indus River, which is also known as the Sindh River, which has been connected both in India and Pakistan. So before we start about this chapter, we need to understand the important points of it, and the most important among them are, the first one is about the three phases that we are going to understand about it. So this chapter is a very long chapter in which we describe about the culture of Harappa, as well as many things that we still don't know about Harappa and how it was discovered and what are the major local sites and what is the unique thing about this particular civilization. So the first point, that was about there are three different phases. There are three phases that are related to time period when it comes to this civilization. So number one is the early Harappan civilization. Okay. So this civilization that was it is the start of the emergence of a new civilization. So it started from 3500 BC till 2600 BC. Now what you guys need to understand is that this mainly focused on the emergence. So here they didn't know much about a civilization, or we don't know much about the growth of it. They are on the phase of growing. Okay, they are in the phase of growing, and it's going to grow into a civilization. So what made them into a civilization? Let's see. Okay, so that is what we are going to now learn and understand. They became a civilization during this era is mainly because of these features, and they are number one, they had a significant talent when it comes to pottery. Okay, number two, they had a significant focus on agriculture and pastoralism. Now I'm talking about the emergence. So how did this civilization was emerged? Okay, at the site Harappa. So because firstly they were great in pottery, which even led them to have trade system. Okay, a small trade system, I can say. Now you need to also understand that they also had large number of villages. So this might be an important question. Now the fifth part is that the other most important feature about the early Harappan phase was that there were buildings that were generally small in size. So these are the main features. So if you ask me about the first feature, is that they had a great talent in pottery. Then the main focus of when it comes to the Harappan civilization was on agriculture and pastoralism. Then they also had a small scale of trade system. Okay, and then they also had large number of villages, and then they also had buildings that were generally small in size. So they were not as massive as we have it right now, or that was built during the mature civilization, which is the second phase. Okay, so their buildings were quite small, but yeah, they had buildings, but they were generally small in size. So these are the important features about the first early Harappan phase. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the second phase. Okay, second phase, and that is the mature Harappan civilization. Okay. Now the mature Harappan civilization really focused on the growth of the civilization. Okay, that you guys need to understand that they really did focus on the growth of the civilization, and it could also be considered as the golden era. Now this era started from 2600 BCE till 1900 BC. Okay, now what you guys need to understand is that what are the features of the mature Harappan civilization. Just like I said about the earlier phase, they also have some special features that made them even known as the golden era. So firstly, they had advanced measuring scales, especially on weights, on weighing, I can say. Second, they were advanced when it comes to, they were more advanced in pottery right now. Okay, now they had also introduced in the seals production. They also started focusing on seals production, beads production. Okay, a well planned town planning. And the last one is about the drainage system, drainage and the administrative system. So these are the most important points about the the mature Harappan civilization. So once again, I will give you a short reply to about the first two civilizations. So the first two phases of the Harappan civilization. So the first phase was known as the early Harappan civilization, which was emerged from 3500 BC to 2600 BC. Now this phase mainly focused on the emergence that related to the growth of the civilization, and the growth of the civilization resulted in because of the following features. That was talent. They had a great talent in pottery. They mainly focused on agriculture and pastoralism. They had a small trade system. Large number of villages were existing there. There were buildings that were generally small in size. Such features indicates that it was going to be resulted in the emergence of a new civilization that was going to be so civilized that till now many archaeologists believe that it was one of the most civilized civilizations that existed in the earlier era. Now we have the second phase, which is mature Harappan civilization. This is the second phase in which it focused on the growth of the civilization, and it could also be known as the golden era. And the era started from 2600 BC to 1900 BC. The features of this phase or of this era, and why is it known as golden era, is also because of the following reasons. That is number one features. Number one is advanced measuring scales. So they had a very good way of measuring, just like we do right now. We have some level of measuring scales that are accepted internationally. Secondly, they became more advanced in pottery, that resulted even in a trade system that was even exchanged towards the outside countries, I can say, to the foreign countries. So the third one is seals production. They started constructing seals, producing seals that would help them to communicate, and also provide information about the city and about the site. Overall, beads production was also massive, which also resulted in overseas exchange trade system. A well-planned town planning town system. Okay, a well-planned town system also existed during this era. And the last one is drainage. They also had a very distinctive drainage and administrative system. And let me tell you something, the most significant feature about the Harappan civilization, okay, is about its drainage system. Now, about the the last phase, that is the late Harappan civilization. This civilization emerged after 1800 BC, and it was focused on the decline. So this civilization started decline, and a new civilization started emerging. So it wasn't the same civilization anymore. Some changes were occurred due to some natural disasters, and and it is also proven that the late Harappan civilization could not be even said as the same civilization that existed during the mid Harappa. So what we can say is that we can in the end conclude that the Harappan civilization started declining during this era, and it got declined because of many theories. Mainly there are 9 theories, and which we will talk about it later on the end of the chapter. Okay, in the end of the chapter. So we will cover this up later. Now what we need to know about is an important question that a lot of people might not know about, and that is about why is the Harappan civilization, why is the Indus Valley civilization, okay, also known as Harappan. So a lot of the people are quite I would say interested in this question, and this question can be asked, and there is even a chance the answer of this question can be asked in a different manner, in an objective manner in the exam. So why is the Indus Valley civilization also known as Harappan? It's because of the fact that the evidence of the existence of this particular civilization was the first evidence about the existence of this civilization was discovered from the site Harappa. That is why it is also known as the Harappan civilization. Now what you guys need to understand is that this can be a very important question, that from which side did we got the first archaeological evidence about the existence of a civilization that was located on the Indus River, Indus Valley. and you should actually answer it as Harappa. That is the site. Okay. So I hope we have covered the main part of it. Now we will have to know that let's move on to the other part. Major sites of this civilization that is used for archaeological purposes. You can screenshot it if you want to. Kalibangan, Banavali, Lodal, Harappa, and Mohenjo-daro. Etc. Are some of the I can say, wait a second. Yeah. So are some of the Kalibangan, Banavali, Lodal, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are some of the sites that are mainly used for the excavation. Excavation for archaeological purposes. Okay. Now what do you need to understand about these sites are that among all these sites, okay, among all these sites, the most important among them are Harappa, okay, and Mohenjo-daro. The most major and the most important among them are the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Now you might wonder why. Although other sites also give us information about this particular civilization, we had came to know the most information about it mainly from Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. And among Harappa, this is very important to note down. Among Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, the most important site that provided us the most information about the civilization was Mohenjo-daro. Okay, so whatever information we mainly know about the current civilization, okay, about this civilization that we are learning right now from our text, it is mainly dependent on this site known as Mohenjo-daro. Although Harappa was the first site that helped us to discover the existence of about this civilization, it has been proved that Mohenjo-daro, which was secondly discovered after that, was the main site that helped us to know more information about the seals production, pottery production, trade exchange system, trademarks, okay, seal production, beads production, okay, and we also came to know about the drainage system. We also came to know about the town planning. Okay, now what I need you to understand is that where are these two major sites located? Harappa is located near to the river Revi in the northern River Revi, northern Punjab. And Mohenjo-daro is located in the Larkana district of Sindh. Okay. Now we will talk about Mohenjo-daro. Wait a second. Okay. Mohenjo-daro. So is also known as the mound of dead. The mound of the death. But again say the graveyard. Why do you think that Mohenjo-daro is also known as the mound of the dead or the graveyard? And it is because of the fact, the reason. I can write down the reason here for you. It is mainly because of the fact that number one, most of the archaeological remains related to burial urns. I can say burial remains maybe were discovered from here. Okay. Number two, I can say burial remains that expressed the cause of natural disasters. I can say, wait a second, I can say the constant occurrences of natural disasters. Now what I want you to understand is that the thing about Harappan civilization was that, especially when you look at Mohenjo-daro, we can see so many unexpected burial remains, especially the ones that are like as skeletons, that truly expresses that there was an unexpected death occurring. So for example, there was this one burial remain where you can see the mother was holding a young child. Okay, and you can see that the child was holding some kind of pottery clay, or I can say a kind of clay toy, terracotta model toy. So what happens, so what we can understand is that both the mother and the child might be coming back from some shop or something, and suddenly a landslide or some kind of natural disaster occurred that made them die in this situation. So what we can understand from Mohenjo-daro is also the fact that we can understand about the climate that was existing during I can say 2500 years ago. During that time I can say 2600 BC. So that's why Mohenjo, and also we get a lot of evidences about the archaeological remains related to this civilization from Mohenjo-daro too. Now what I want you to understand is that okay, that the other main thing about Mohenjo-daro, why is Mohenjo-daro mainly focused here and is considered as an important site, is also because of another reason, and that is it shows how well planned the city was. So Mohenjo-daro was a very large site. Okay, you need to understand that Mohenjo-daro was a very large site that was divided into, wait a second, this looks like they got separated. Mohenjo-daro. Now the one is citadel, the first one is citadel. The other one is lower town. Okay, now let's go more deeper into the citadel. Okay, so before that I'm going to explain to you once again that the second reason why Mohenjo-daro is considered as an important site is also because of the fact that we are able to know that how well planned the town planning was during during 2600 BC, which is very shocking to us. And it has been even proved that Mohenjo-daro was such a large city that it was even divided. It was so planned that it was even divided into two different parts. One was citadel and the other one was known as lower town. Now let us look at the features. Of these two civilizations. Okay. I'm sorry about the two parts of these. About the features of these two parts. Okay. So let's go. So let's firstly focus on citadel. The first part of Mohenjo-daro. So I will give you point by point knowledge about this part of the city. So citadel was located at the western part of the city. Okay, western part of the city. That is the first point. Now second point is, it is located on the higher part. It is located as the higher part of the town, or I can say city. Okay. Now what you guys need to understand is that this second statement that says that citadel was situated on the higher part of the town or the city is mainly because of two reasons. Two reasons. And they are, number one, I'm sorry, wait a second. The land was higher. The land was on a higher ground. Okay, so the ground was naturally, the land was actually on a higher ground, so it made it look like it was actually located, it was I can say that land was higher compared to the lower town. So of course it will be considered as it will be more higher compared to lower town. So they had a higher ground, they had a land that was more higher when it comes to height, but here's another fact, less in area. Okay, they had less area but they had high height. Got it? Now the second reason is also because of the fact that the land under the land there were mud bricks. So there are two main reasons why citadel was situated on the higher part of the town. And number one is that the land was situated on the higher part of the land was naturally on the higher part. So naturally it will be higher in height compared to lower town. And one of the significant features about citadel is that it is less in area but height is very high. Now the second reason why is it located on the higher part of the town is also because of the fact that it has the mud bricks are constructed under this part of the land. So this makes it more taller. And this makes it more taller compared to the lower town, and that's why the other part of the town is known as lower. Okay, so I hope you got cleared about this knowledge regarding citadel. Now let's talk about the third fact. Okay, the third fact about this citadel, and that is there was a wall that separated. There was a wall that separated citadel and lower town. Okay, there was a wall that separated citadel and lower town. Now the fourth fact is that it was mainly used as a site for both administration and special spiritual purposes, and related to it there were buildings too. So that is the fifth point will be there were many buildings situated here in this part of the city. So these are the 5 main facts about the citadel, but there is more which plays an important role about this citadel. So yeah, so if I am summarizing it about the citadel as a whole, it is that the citadel is located at the western part of the city, first point. Second point, it is located as the higher it is located on the higher part of the city, and it is located on the higher part of the city is mainly because of 2 reasons which I have explained to you. The land was situated on a higher ground, and it has less area, but it is high in height. Now the second reason is under the land there were mud bricks. Okay, so for that reason it was more taller compared to the lower town. Now the third fact about this citadel is that there was a wall that separated citadel and lower town. Now the fourth fact is that it was mainly used as a site for both administration and special spiritual purposes, and it was believed especially it was correlated to it was connected to the buildings. So archaeologists believe, I forgot to add this, that is, this is what archaeologists believe. Okay, so it's not the fact that this is the way that how they think it, this is the way that how they used to use it for. This was the main reason why there were so many buildings in citadel. Now archaeologists believe that there were so many buildings, okay, in citadel, and they believe that mainly these buildings were used for either for both administration as well as special spiritual purposes. Okay, and there were many buildings existing there, and the most important among them were the Great Bath and the warehouse. So there were so many large buildings that were constructed in the part of citadel, but the most important among them are the Great Bath and the warehouse. Okay, now we will talk about these 2 buildings specifically, that is the Great Bath. Okay. It's a very long class, to be honest. So the Great Bath, let's go. So the first feature about the Great Bath was that it is a large, so a lot of people will get confused whenever if someone asks about the Great Bath. You define what was the special, what were the special features about the Great Bath. A lot of the students get confused when such questions are asked. So the first feature, so I'm going to give you point by point facts that will help you understand and remember it easily and memorize them quickly. So first fact is that it was a big rectangular tank that had 4 corridors. 4 corridors. One here, one here, one here, and one here. Okay, just think it in that manner. Then we have 2 steps that were connecting from the ground to the ground of the tank from both the north and south side. So there were steps from north and south that were connected or I can say that connected the lower part of the tank. Okay, now the next fact is now the next fact is that there were many rooms. Okay, there were many rooms. Okay, there were many rooms. So using my imagination here, so there were many rooms that were used for, okay, there were many rooms that were used for storing, that were used for changing clothes and many other purposes. Changing clothes. And one among them, there was one room that was mostly important in storing water for the pool. Okay, this looks very unclear. Okay, storing water for the pool. So there were rooms used for changing clothes and one was used for storing water. Okay, now the most important fact was that there was this drainage system. Okay, there was this drainage system that was connected. So there was a drainage, there was a hole that could be closed and opened whenever they wanted to drain the water. So there was a hole that could be closed and opened whenever they wanted to drain water, that was connected to the drain which was connected to the street drains. Street drains. Okay, so that is, there was this drainage system that existed during those times. Okay, and the special thing was that this drainage system was connected to the pool and as well as to the drainage system that was connected, that could release the water into the main street drains. Okay, so that's how well planned their drainage system was. And according to that drainage system, there was this hole that was connected to the pool that connected the drains that were connected to the other drains. And if that hole was removed, then the dirty water that was stored in the swimming pool would be released directly to the drains, which will be then released into the street drains. Now the last one, and now the next most important fact, that is, I believe, that proves about the engineering skill that I have to say, is that the floor of the pool was covered with mortar and gypsum. And gypsum. Okay, so instead of cement, today we use, so nowadays we use cement under the swimming pool so that the mud and the water won't collide together and would mix together and would be resulting in a complete chaos. Okay, in a chaotic manner. Instead, we have mortar and gypsum here. We covered it. They covered it with mortar and gypsum, which was more better than, I guess, cement, I believe, on one way, because they still have it existed. They still have them getting they still do exist till to this day, and we still can store water in it. So that's an absolute, I can say, massive creativity, I believe. So mortar and gypsum was used to cover the lower part, I can say the ground of the tank or the swimming pool, so that the mud and the water would not collide to each other, which proved the engineering skills. Now I want you to understand that there is an important point that I would like to add, and that is, all of these proved 3 facts about the Harappan civilization, about the Harappans. They are number 1, they had cleanliness, which we still don't have sometimes. Okay, it's 21st century and we people are so lazy even to use water in order to clean our we live in such a world where I don't even know what hygiene is sometimes, because we are living in a world where I don't know if hygiene truly matters to anyone in this century. So at those times people truly cared about hygiene, and this truly shows about that no matter how old the civilization was, they truly had this habit of cleanliness that existed among almost everyone in the civilization. Okay, now second thing, now this was considered as a priority there, because including in the administrative system we can see this. Okay, secondly, it proves they had great engineering skills. You need to understand that this civilization existed 2500 years ago, to be approximate, 2500 years ago, and they have this massive engineering skills that still we as human beings follow even after 2500 years later. There is no more change that we had done. So pretty much we need to understand how improved, how developed their technology was. And to be honest, they were the most civilized nation compared to any other civilization that existed during this time. There were Mesopotamians, there were Egyptians, there were even Chinese civilizations existing at this time, and archaeological scholars have already claimed that this is the most well planned and civilized civilization that they have ever learned about and discovered yet. So they are very impressed with their engineering skills. Now the third fact is that they believe that the Great Bath, okay, the Great Bath was mainly used for public spiritual bathing purposes. So they might believe in God, they did believe in God, and they might believe that there might be this particular ritual that if anyone wants to cleanse themselves from sins and purify their souls from sins, they might have to take bath from here, because it is considered as, like, I can almost say, as a temple. That's how large this entire Great Bath is. So this building, certainly. So I believe that not only me, every archaeologist do nowadays believe that it was mainly used for a spiritual bathing purpose, okay, that was connected to their spirituality. So that's it for now. Then this is the part 1 of our class related to the revision of first chapter of the Indus Valley Civilization. I hope you all had enjoyed it, and if any more doubts you have regarding this chapter, especially in the video I have explained to you right now, please do let me know in the comments. I hope you had enjoyed our class. Hope you will all ace good marks in the upcoming exams too. So have a great day. Let's grow.